The time has come to bring on the champions.
Guys, go out there and make our stamp that we are the champions. Because until May, June, we have it. It belongs to us. And we fight to take it again.
Listen, boys, we had a decent start so far. But we can do better. We need to take the next step, and there's no better place than taking the next step here. Let's start strong and aggressive, boys. Come on!
A compelling game at St James's Park.
Did you enjoy? I loved it. It's enough.
I want to see the character that you have, because you have it. And you do it 1,000 million times, you have to prove it again.
Fiery couple of hours later.
I push you more to be more perfect, guys. I push you to be more perfect. They will not forgive you, guys.
What did you make of Man City? So they're losing ground on Arsenal, who are absolutely fine.
We have to take responsibility. You have to feel it. Otherwise, for nothing.
How many seasons can you keep this up for?
They need to have the drive.
Doesn't look right, does it, at City at the moment?
Maybe there's going to be other priorities.
Era's end. Is it coming to an end?
I think we're forgetting the most important thing. We're forgetting about focusing just on ourselves. Show ourselves out there how much we want to win it again. And the best thing we have is that now we've done it and they think, oh, they're tired and we want to do it again. And that's when we get big.
To win something, the most important thing, you have to deserve it. Deserve it. You want to play? You want the ball? You want to move? You want to fight? As a brother?
We win 4 of the last 5 Premier League. Are we going to do it again?
I'm not moving from this seat. I can assure you. Now, more than ever.
I want my Warriors. Attack everyone and defend everyone. Because everything we are doing is we want the kids. Always. I love the club. Let's go.
Table doesn't lie. These two have been the best in the land this season.
If they want this crown, if they want it, they have to fight. Don't give it.
Manchester City look like true champions.
I want to see the team that we have done the last years is play every single game to win the Premier League.
Manchester City have set the standards in this league.
Until the last week, doesn't matter what happened, fight for the win the Premier League. Yes?
The winners and still the champions of the land, Manchester City.
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are watching around the world. We are so happy to have your company ahead of the Premier League game as City take on Brighton. It is an 8 p.m. kickoff even, and you can see the champions are arriving now. There's Rodri, and that is Nico Riley, our under-18s captain. Be very exciting to find out if he is in the squad tonight. And there is Shay Charles, our EDS captain. So it could be a very exciting squad tonight. Alex Robson as well from the EDS. Ben Knight, there's Calvin Phillips, Ilkay Gundogan. The champions are well and truly in town at Brighton. As always, Matchday Live is your first place to get your team news. And I'm sure we're all very eager to know what sort of team we'll be playing tonight. Well, we will give it you as soon as we can. Kevin De Bruyne is in town. Edison. And there is our World Cup winner. Scored against Chelsea. It's Julian Alvarez. I'm really hoping Erling Haaland starts tonight for the sake of my fantasy football team, by the way, but we will find out very, very shortly. Thank you so much for joining us. There we go. We have a very beautiful guest in the studio today. We're not allowed to touch it, obviously. We've been warned. We've got to keep it at a nice distance there, but we're so honoured to have the Premier League trophy with us today. And as always, I am honoured to have some special guests, Paul Dickov and David James. David, first time I've seen you since we retained our trophy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Thank you very much. And what a wonderful trophy.
I thought when you said you got some really beautiful guests or special guests, you were talking about Paul.
I thought you were talking about both of us over there.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, your outfits are lovely. So I could have said that. I'm very much liking this new gear, Paul.
It is, and it's actually the only thing I've ever tried on that was a little bit short in the arms for me, so I've had to stretch it a little bit. I've never had that before.
And I like how David is just reminding us that he does soccer aid. I can see his soccer aid.
Getting nervous. Coming up soon.
Are you playing again this year?
Yes.
Very nice. Are you in training?
Trained in a charity match last weekend with Needham.
Oh, very
And we
nice.
won.
Well, we might be seeing a bit of Needham later on because you know that man never takes a day off. Did you beat his side?
No, he was in my side.
He was
Fortunately,
in your side.
he was marshalling that defence very well.
Oh, lovely. Very nice to have you. And Paul, it's lovely to see you again. It's been all of about 48 hours since I last saw you. Have you stopped partying?
Just about, yeah. It was a good night Sunday. Good early morning Monday. But no, yeah, look, it was a great day, a great weekend actually. Obviously, we were here Saturday night. Watching Forest beat Arsenal, which meant we won it, and then it was party time at the Etihad on Saturday and Sunday, and what a great atmosphere, and you know, to see the players, the staff, and all their families enjoying themselves on the pitch was great to see.
Honestly, never did I imagine when we were sat here watching the Forest Arsenal game, knowing that if we won the league, we'd go on air, but also knowing that if we didn't, no one would ever know that we were here. I didn't expect at that moment, for just a few days later, this beautiful trophy to be sat here. I think I'm still a bit in shell shock, Paul.
We should be used to it by now, wasn't it? Three in a row. We keep saying 5 at the last 6 now. So, but no, look, fantastic achievement again. And you know, to go out on Sunday, David will tell you, it would have been difficult for the players knowing they'd won it. A few changes in the team, but then to go out and beat Chelsea at home, last home game of the season, to lift the trophy was amazing for the players, but amazing for the fans as well.
I loved it as well. You know, David, only a couple of weeks ago I was saying that I hoped we'd win it against Chelsea. You know, we'd have that moment where we'd do it in front of our fans. I take it all back, David. Sunday was a delight. Knowing we'd won it, going in, having a lovely day, a lovely chill day. I loved doing it that way.
Yeah, I think, I actually expected it to go almost to the last game of the season. But the fact that you could actually go out on the day, celebrate, as you say, the kids were there, and not have the worry, I think, of having to bring your kids to a game, be mascots, whatever, and then think that you still have to win the game. It was kind of like comfortable all the way through. Fortunately, Ortega was in good form as well, which meant that the win was there, 1-0. Everyone gets to party, and you know, the fantasy league team was good because Alvarez was my captain.
Stop it! No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You brought Alvarez in and captained him.
I did.
That was genius. What inside info did you have?
I didn't. I would have been genius had Mahrez not handballed the ball. But hey, doesn't matter. It was a win and everyone was happy. So good.
Well done. Well, I wasn't happy because I had Edison, Grealish and Haaland in my FPL team, so I was not happy. So we've got the Premier League, we've got Paul Dickov, we've got David James, and in our Reactoo wall, we have fans from all around the world. Fans and a very familiar face. Hi, everybody. Have a big wave. Now, we have fans tonight from New York, from China, from Chicago, Berlin, yes, and Manchester, and I'm guessing Naden's in Manchester, and London, yes. Fans from all around the world, and we'll be speaking to them all, getting their thoughts throughout the show as well, bringing you the team news as well in just a second. I love the fact that Naden's here. You all right, Naden?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all. It's good to be on the show, kind of. And yeah, it's great to play with David as well last week. That was a lot of fun. And I told you, Nat, if City had won if City were already champions before the game against Chelsea, you'd love it. I said that.
You're right.
You're like, no, I want the jeopardy. Forget the jeopardy. Let's just promote celebration.
You're totally right, Naden. It was a delight. I had such a lovely, calm day, which was such a change. I loved it. You never take a day off, though, do you? You're like the hardest working man at City.
That's not true. I'm not even on for this full show, so I'm going to have to walk that back, I'm afraid.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you a little bit later. It's always lovely to see you. We're going to be bringing you the team news in just... Oh, we're ready, right? Let's find out the starting 11 for tonight's game against Brighton. OK, you can see there we've got 6 changes from the team that beat Chelsea. In goal, it's still Ortega Moreno. Clean sheet demon he is now, by the way. And then it's Walker, Stones, Rodri, Lewis, Gundogan, who's captain, De Bruyne, Silva, Mahrez, Foden and Haaland. And then we have for you a very exciting subs bench today. Edison, Phillips, Alvarez, Gomez, and then we have Charles, O'Reilly, Robertson and Knight. So 4 of our academy stars, future stars as well, on the subs bench tonight. Absolutely and utterly fantastic. So that is your starting 11 today for City. 6 changes from the team that beat Chelsea at the weekend. Paul, what do you make of that team? Were you expecting so many changes again?
I'm expecting a few changes. I think it's really strong, actually. You know, obviously KDB coming back in, the big man up front as well. But I'm delighted for the boys on the bench, especially the young lads. You know, I've seen Nico Riley and Ben Knight play against Brentford last Friday night, and top talents. Shea Charles, Alex Robertson. So it's amazing for them to be involved in the squad. But it's a strong team as well. And you know, the players will want to go into the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we've got Brentford on Sunday, but the players and the staff, you know, speaking to them at the weekend after the game, they don't want these 2 games to be nothing games. You know, they want to go out there and win them and keep going what they've got on. You know, 24, 25 games unbeaten, and take that into the FA Cup final and then obviously the Champions League after that.
So thrilling, and I know so many City fans I saw on social media were really hoping that some of the academy players would get an opportunity in these games. I mean, Shea Charles, another one that has been at our academy since he was under 9. He's come through every stage of the academy. You know, to captain the EDS team now, it's, you know, a phenomenal journey. What more do you know about him? How often have you seen him play?
Yeah, quite a few times. I think we first seen him play, Natalie, in that freezing cold day, but when they played Girona.
Yes, just after the World Cup.
After the World Cup, and look, obviously he's by trade he's a midfielder, but he played centre half that day, and he was outstanding. Obviously, like all the academy players here, they're really comfortable on the ball. But you know, you can tell already that he's a top player, like the other ones are.
And he made his international debut this season as well, David. He plays for Northern Ireland, or indeed last season. So he's an international player as well, captain of the EDS, and now he's in the squad tonight. I would love to see him get on at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Given that Brighton will be celebrating as well today. I mean, they're almost like a game behind Man City in the sense that they've qualified for Europe for the first time in their history. So there'll be a lot of enjoyment around Brighton, and maybe that will lend itself to, given the starting lineup for City, the game, I'm hoping, will be kind of done early enough for the youngsters to come on. Because when you look at the bench, I mean, the majority of them are young players. So, I mean, Pep obviously has in mind that he wants to make some kind of substitutions in this, and if they can get on, I don't know, imagine they scored.
I know, it'd be amazing.
Wow.
What an experience.
Yeah. I would love that.
Well, I haven't got them in a fantasy team, but
yes.
maybe next week.
Yes, indeed. Nico Riley, again, another captain of the under-18s, very highly thought of. You hear a lot of people really heaping a lot of praise on that young man as well, Paul.
Yeah, and he scored some sensational goals. You know, I think we all remember the scorpion kick earlier on in the season.
And then, that was incredible.
I think it was the week after when he scored from more or less the halfway line, and then he scored a wonderful goal done last Friday night against Brentford. And you know, he's super highly rated for somebody so young, and you know, speaking to Barry Murphy at the weekend, you know, they think he's going to be a top player, and he's shown that already. But he's under 18s, you know, it's 17 years old. It's scary, the talent that we've got coming through.
Yeah, unbelievable. So I just clocking his birth date there and doing the maths in my head. 18, just not long 18 years old. Absolutely phenomenal. Right, we'll bring the fans in as well in the Reactoo wall and get their reaction to this team news. We'll go to Dabs first. Dabs, I bet you're chuffed as we are to see some of the academy players on the bench.
Yeah, I am. Do you know what? I really want to see us get into the 90s though as well. I'll be honest. I'm being greedy now, and I want to see us get into the 90 points. I made a prediction earlier in the season that if Arsenal had 12 points, we could hunt them down and still catch up with them. So I kind of want them to drop points and us finish on 94. So I'm kind of happy to see Haaland playing as well, add him to his goal tally. And do you know what? It's good to see Rico on the pitch as well, because Stones has come in and done that role really, really well. But I think the future of that role may well be Rico Lewis. So it's good that he gets more Premier League experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What a phenomenal talent he's been. Sarah, Are you happy about the team? I mean, it's pretty much a very strong team tonight. A lot of changes. Are you happy with what you've seen?
Absolutely, yeah. I was wondering, is Pep going to go for a strong team, maybe in preparation for big games coming up, or is he going to play the youngsters? And I really hope we're going to see both. It would be nice to see goals go in early, and like you guys say, see some of the young players on the pitch. That would be amazing. But also, I guess Pep always gives respect to the opposition, right? And I was looking at the table. And it's scary how high Brighton and Brentford are. Brighton are, above Chelsea and Spurs. So I guess I would not underestimate the opposition. I hope it's going to be like a fun game from both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Brighton are a phenomenal team, have been incredible this season. Liz, good evening to you down in London. Are you happy to see Haaland in the starting 11 tonight, or did you want him to just be nice and rested until the game's coming up?
Well, I think it's the thing about resting players is they sort of can lose a bit of momentum. So it's actually better to keep them going rather than let them have 10 days off, because we've got to be ready for the next game. I mean, Rodri in central defence is a tiny bit strange, really, considering the fact that Brighton are one of the best teams in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good point. I'll go to Nadem actually as the professional and kind of follow up on that. Nadem, how important is it for the players like, your Haalands, your Kevin De Bruyne's, your Rodri's to keep getting minutes ahead of the two big finals?
So I think it's important, more so because themselves, they'd like to play. It's a weird position to be a starter and to just sit back and just watch games happen, because you almost switch off. But then next thing you have to turn everything all the way back on to play in two huge games once the Premier League season's finished. So I don't mind it at all. I think the manager probably has an idea of how long he wants each person to play. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were changes at maybe 60 or 75. But, I'm sure they partied pretty hard the other day, but then they started to get prepared for this moment because that's what's made them so good. So I'm glad to see them in there. Seeing Rodri at centre-back, I think he's done it for Spain. And I look at that team, and like Kyle Walker's the only player on the field who I haven't seen play midfield before, which is truly remarkable. But it's a strong Man City side. Love to see those players out there. And I'm looking forward to seeing the youngsters come on as well, especially Shea Charles, who I interviewed for City a few weeks ago.
Very nice, Nadem. Little name drop from him there, David?
Well, Nadem is the best.
Yes.
Yeah, there is one thing you have to remember here. I mean, resting players is one thing, but the preparation for a starting lineup is very different to the preparation for being on the bench. And I think that's one of the things that people don't often realise, that if you know that you're going to play, then you have to do certain things before it. So it's important that even like Haaland, he might even play half a game, but he gets that preparation practice in rather than thinking that he's going to be playing for 90 minutes.
Now, the interview that Nadem mentions, by the way, I'm sure you all will love to see this. It's actually an Academy documentary that we're currently making. It'll be fascinating. It'll be wonderful. I can't wait for that to come out, and that'll be on, of course, City Plus very, very shortly as well. So we've got Casey up there. Good evening, Casey. Forgive me, I told everybody you're in Chicago. I know you're currently in Norwich, but I thought Chicago made us sound nice and worldly and, uber glamorous. What do you make of the starting 11 tonight?
I mean, I'm just so happy that we kind of get the best of both worlds here. I did captain Haaland on my FPL, and I have Kevin De Bruyne, so that is fantastic for me. Hopefully they get plenty of points, and then it's great to see the young players. Hopefully they get plenty of play time. We get to see a couple goals, and then overall, I love to see Rico Lewis play, so as many minutes as he can have, I will take it all. But overall, I'm just so excited for this match.
I'm totally with you, Casey. I also captained Haaland, so I'm really hoping that a few goals will, and Liz has as well. Good, okay, because I need those extra points. What do you think? So we're talking about the defence, Casey. So Walker, Stones, Rodri, Lewis. So we're expecting Rodri to drop in. Are you excited to see that?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that the thing about our team is that they're so versatile. And so giving them the opportunities to showcase something that maybe we don't see very often. And honestly, they just rise to the occasion every single time. And I know that's exactly what Rodri's going to do. So, I mean, I think it'll be a pleasure to see him do that and move around and just showcase everything that he's got, whether it's midfield, defense. I mean, he can do everything. We know it.
We know that. We absolutely do. Lovely. Thank you for being with us. Good evening to Waits. Waits, you're in China. And I would love you to show us your Man City cave, because you gave me a little bit of a sneak preview before we came on air, because that is a serious City cave you've got there.
Yeah, it's I see Paul there. Paul was in China. Paul, do you remember the shirt?
I do remember the shirt. That was in Shanghai, wasn't it? Or was it Beijing?
Yeah. That you signed for the Shanghai chairwoman, and she gave it to me as I was the collector of the certificate, and here I see James there.
Love it.
Wait, so your cave is amazing. And I'm loving how all of your shirts you've got in bags as well to keep them nice and pristine. Oh, right, yes, we're getting a proper look now. Oh, my goodness, how many do you have?
Over 100.
Wait, have you got any Nader Manure merchandise there?
Yeah, but it's not at my city cave. It was back in England.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing! You have, you have hundreds.
Wow. Yeah, over 100.
Over 100.
Some of them are match won, and some are just for players and then for fans.
Nader, I think you need to send Waite something to add to his collection.
Well, I don't know. He's not asked for it, so I don't want to force myself upon him. I'll be honest. But it makes for great viewing. Should I meet him, then yes. But otherwise, I think he's doing just fine.
Yes. And Waite, I've got to give you massive respect as well, because I imagine it is very early or very late in China just now. So are you staying up for it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a custom for me. Like over the last 15 years, I've been watched every City game. So never missed one. So it's like just what I do during the midnight.
Considering the time differences that you will have had to navigate to have done that, that is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for joining us tonight as well. And then up there in the top left, all the way from New York City, we've got Spencer. Good evening, Spencer. Are you well?
Hey, how's it going?
We are
I'm
wonderful.
Doing great.
What do you make of the starting 11?
By the way, I'm never going to complain. By the way, I'm never going to complain about early morning kickoffs here in New York because China, my God.
That is so true. But I mean, respect to you all. We're all around the world. It always blows my mind that you manage to stay up or get up early to watch the games. In terms of that starting 11 for you, Spencer, is anybody standing out for you? Anyone you're particularly happy to see either back in the starting 11 or still rested?
Well, I love Bernardo. He's probably my favorite player on the squad right now. He's a total workhorse, and he needed a little rest. But it's good to see him back because we had so many changes in this lineup right now. But we don't want to give De Zerbi and Brighton the disrespect because they're European bound next year. We need to give them the respect they deserve. And while we want to rest our players, we need to have people like Bernardo, like Haaland on the squad right now, or else we can risk, some bad stuff.
Yes, I'm with you. I totally agree. While we've got you there, give us a shout out for your city pub that you meet in New York, in case we've got anybody that's watching in New York or indeed is visiting New York. Where do they need to come to?
Sure. Well, as Paul Dickov knows pretty well,
talking about pubs.
New York Sky Blues watch. Yeah. Well, you've been over here to Amity Hall once or twice, and we meet up in Greenwich Village in Manhattan, and there are about 300 paid members, but we can get up to 600, 700, depending on the match. And anyone is welcome. So regardless of if you're a member or not, just come on down.
Paul, have you been to every pub associated with City around the world?
Pretty much so, I think, yeah. I'm only doing my job, Natalie. I get invited along, do a little Q&A, have a few drinks, mingle with the fans. But Spencer's right, it's an amazing place. The atmosphere is great when they're watching the match. They all turn up. I think there was, about 200 or 300 people there last time I was there, and we had an absolutely amazing time.
But thank you.
Yeah,
to
you were
all
there
of our
with Buzzer.
fans.
Yeah, and I will come back. Thanks for the invite. Thanks, Spencer.
No worries, mate.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you to all of our fans there on the Reactoo wall tonight from all around the world. I absolutely love that. That just absolutely tickled me rotten, that, Paul. A mention of a pub halfway around the world and you've been there.
Yeah, I know. It was work.
It was work. Yeah. I thought my job was good, but Paul Dickov does have the best job in the whole wide world. So thank you to our fans there. You can see your starting 11 for tonight across the bottom of the screen. Now, that defence is interesting, though. Are we pretty certain there, David, that it is going to be Rodri dropping back?
Certain, as certain as you ever could be with Pep and his team. I mean, it just lends itself to that, doesn't it? Just looking at it, I mean, you wouldn't expect Bernardo to drop back in, although he has played left back.
Yeah, I feel like Bernardo could be anyway. Yeah.
He could be anyway, yeah. I mean, I think the interesting thing is, again, that Pep has to pick a team with Brentford in mind, with a cup final in mind, with a Champions League final in mind, and keeping everyone, first of all, ready to play and also happy. And I think everyone's happy, obviously, for winning the title. But then looking at Brighton, now that they've qualified, I think he would expect Brighton to make changes as well. So there's a little bit of give-in, I think, the starting lineup. So yeah, 3-4, Bernardo Silva, left back, makes sense.
We will bring out Brighton team news very shortly as well. But we can't go on throughout this show without mentioning the weekend's events again, because what a couple of days. Of course, we were crowned champions on Saturday night after Forest beat Arsenal. And then we came home on Sunday to a party atmosphere at the Etihad. So before we have a little bit more of a chat about the weekend, here is a lovely recap for you. Manchester City are champions of England.
Oh my God, gosh, he's got a beer already.
It is so great to be with you for our final home game of the season.
City have won it back, and Alvarez will score here, and City take advantage of some sloppy Chelsea play. And the champions of England, all that they have left to do today is to lift the trophy above their heads. Champions of England, lifted aloft by Ilkay Gundogan.
To win 3 in a row, 5 out of the last 6, it's just sensational.
It's just something you dream of and you never think it's really going to come true, and for me it has come true, and all I can do now is enjoy it. Really.
This season is, we create an incredible atmosphere here, so thank you so much.
Winners and still the champions of the land, Manchester City.
What an incredible weekend we had. The scenes there of just how ecstatic the players are, and Pep, and Rico Lewis's interview with FG just nearly made me cry. Just to see how happy he was, to talk about him living his dream is absolutely fantastic. You were in the studio Sunday, Paul. Just tell us, how much did you enjoy that day?
I loved it from the very start. You know, you're saying there was just a lovely, relaxed atmosphere, party atmosphere before the game. And then once the game started, was looking at the Chelsea team and thinking, are they going to cause us problems? But they were actually pretty poor, and it was quite a standard win in the end. But the highlight for me was seeing how everybody celebrated. You know, people were saying it's 5 out of the last 6, 3 in a row. Does it still mean as much to them? You've seen the way they reacted at the final whistle in the Arsenal game. But then the way they reacted after the game, lifting the trophy again, it still means that much to them. They want to win every single game, every single title they've got, and that's what makes them the best.
Yeah, I agree, David. The scenes on the pitch after were just fantastic. How excited. I mean, some of the players had won it 5 times, and you've got like an Erling Haaland who's winning it for his first time, and the levels of excitement was, it was just incredible. It was a joy to watch. Yeah,
I think what Paul's saying is right. I think if there wasn't 2 other trophies up for grabs as well, it might be slightly different. The achievement of winning it 3 in a row is in itself extraordinary, but the excitement of being able to get... We're not allowed to say the T word, are we?
Are we saying the T word?
Yeah.
Are you saying it?
Yeah.
Confidently?
Confidently, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say it. If anyone wants to use a T word, just feel free to use it. But the point being is, it's one part of the T done.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, look at our form. I will say it. I think.
You haven't said it yet.
What, the treble? Yeah, there you go. Look, we've went that many games unbeaten now, and I know we've got Brighton to think about, Brentford Sunday, but 2 games after that, the way we're playing, I can't see us getting beat. I really can't. It's a big ask, and people, I think Man City fans especially, are like, no, typical City and everything else. But I look at the squad, I look at how they're playing, I look at the bench, the impact that they've got coming off the bench and everything else. And, you know, a game against Manchester United, a game against Inter Milan, 2 one-off games, I really can't see us getting beat.
I just have that typical City, still have nightmares of Wigan. Still have nightmares of Wigan. The fans on our Reactoo wall. Wait, tell us about where you watched the game on Sunday and how you celebrated.
Actually, I was all alone by myself, watched it in my city cave. I started a supporters club last year, but most of the members are my students, so they were asleep, so I cannot call them in. So I was all by myself and watched the game, just like the old good days, all by myself.
Oh, wait! Although you got to watch it in peace, which is nice. But please tell me that you've had a hug off another City fan this week to celebrate.
Yeah, my wife will be with me this time.
Good, I am glad.
Watch the game. Yeah.
Spencer. Sorry, Spencer, what was it like in New York?
You know what? It was great. It wasn't quite like the Champions League against Real Madrid, because I think a lot of people found that the Arsenal match with Forest made it all done and dusted. So there was less people than maybe we would have liked, but we still had maybe 300 people. It was a lot of people, regardless. And it was just where everyone was having a sing-song the entire time, bouncing up and down, and it was great. So there you go.
I love that. 300 fans in New York, fantastic. Dabs, were you at the game?
Right, so I started off in Ancoats Square with all the other Blues. First half, I was in the grounds, and I started making my way to a certain part of the ground that I wanted to be for the end of the game. And I'll end the story there. Just say I watched the trophy being lifted from Mary D's.
Oh, Dabs, OK, let's not get you or anyone else in trouble about why you were in Mary D's, but at least you got to see the first half of it. Right, Naden, where were you on Sunday? I didn't see you.
So I was down in London the day before. Been pretty honoured to play with David James again. You know, being down a load of celebrities, that was a lot of fun. But then I had to do some other work on the Sunday down south, so I missed out. But it's no different to when I missed out last year when I wasn't there for the Aston Villa game. But hopefully the 2 more big games that I'm going to be a part of, which I can hopefully enjoy. But yeah, you know, this is what City do. It's great. Got a chance to speak about it. And it's great when you're on radio and TV and people have to say, oh, you've done it again. I'm like, yeah, they did it again. Yeah, they did it again. And that was a lot of fun. But yeah, unfortunately I wasn't there, but it is what it is.
Is anyone else picking up the feeling here that maybe Naden doesn't need to come to games anymore if we win 2 leagues in a row when he's not around?
Well, I think I'm going to defend my superstar defender, Naden, because I made commitments for Sunday as well, because I was anticipating Arsenal would do more to push this to the end of the season, to the point that I will be at Brentford on the weekend thinking that there was going to be a trophy lifted at Brentford.
Yes.
But, well, I say unfortunately. Fortunately, City have won the title. So Naden, yeah, I totally agree with you, Naden. It wasn't just that he didn't think he had to be there. He just thought the opposition was going to be a little bit stronger.
Well, Naden, thank you for joining us on the wall tonight. Are you going to watch the game at home in nice and peace and enjoy it?
Well, I've got to go and start looking after my kids again. I've got to be a father first, but yeah, then maybe afterwards I will.
Are they currently running riot around your house?
I've asked them to be quiet for 30 minutes. I can't ask them to be quiet for 31.
That's
so
a big
please.
ask. That's a big
I'll see you later.
Thanks a lot, Naden. Yeah. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Love that. Naden's back off on dad duty as well. Right, we're going to bring you the Brighton team news now. So here is the starting 11. In goal, it's Steele. It's Caicedo, Van Heck, Colwill, Estupiñán, Gross, Gilmour, Buonanotte, Enciso, Mitoma and Danny Welbeck. And that's the Brighton starting 11 for today. Right, a few changes there, David. What do you make of that starting 11?
I think there's 4 changes there. I mean, to be fair to Brighton, I think they've, again, first time they've ever qualified for Europe, so they've had relatively an amazing season. And so there's going to be a little bit of sort of celebration at some point, whether they've already done it or whether they plan to do it professionally at the end of the season, well, remains to be seen. But those changes, I mean, Welbeck, who's been in tremendous form, the Gilmour coming in. I mean, Gilmour's been featuring a lot more in recent games. You know, they still pose a serious threat, and I think again that's sort of reflected in Pep's changing his lineup. But still, there's an allowance there. So, yeah, it's good, but they also concede goals.
My FPL team's taken a battering, by the way, because I've got McAllister in my team who's on the bench as well. What is this with the end of the season and players that have played all season suddenly not playing? But from a City point of view, I mean, McAllister has been phenomenal. Obviously, a World Cup winner alongside our own Julian Alvarez. So I'm actually OK that he's on the subs bench, even though it's going to cost me, Paul.
No, he's a top player, but they've still got top players playing in the team as well. No, Caicedo's playing. And Cisco, who's come in towards the latter end of the season, has done really, really well. Pascal Gross has been sensational. You know, they're a top team, and I think, like David said there, over the past few weeks, he has made 3 or 4 changes in every game, so it shows you that he feels he's got a strong squad, because he's a top manager. You know, I heard Pep waxing lyrical about him yesterday, saying he's probably the most impressive manager in the last 20 years, and that's some praise coming from Pep. But I love watching them play. They will take risks, but you'll have 2 teams today that play in a similar way, that won't change, and they'll go toe-to-toe with it. And Brighton, amazing, already qualifying for Europe. Obviously, we're already champions, so I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of goals in it tonight.
Yeah, I'm hoping Mitoma, if they're going to score, scores, because he's also in my FPL team. Mitoma, yes, has been, if they're going to score, then it might as well be him, David. I might as well get points, because I've got Edison and he's not playing.
Oh, you're right, yeah, but we've got clean sheet guru, haven't we?
We have.
In Ortega.
Yes.
9 clean sheets in 12 games for Manchester City. Yeah. It's amazing.
There's Mitoma. He's now an absolute superstar in Japan as well, as you would fully expect. He's had a sensational season, consistently been good. I think I've had him in my FPL team from like day one. He's been consistently good for them. But I mean, that can be said about so many of their players. Yeah, and I think one of the things about the rotation, if you look at the sort of recent games, it's not like they've been winning each week, so the rotation has worked perfectly, but they've got some big results, they've had a couple of big defeats as well, granted. But when Mitoma's needed, he's done super well. He drops out, someone else comes in, done equally well to get Brighton into that position. Danny Welbeck, as I say there, who hasn't started every game. Ferguson, who scored a couple on the weekend, not starting. So they've got a depth of squad, which is obviously good enough to go into Europe. So as I say, unlike Paul, because I've got defenders in my fantasy team who are playing tonight, unless they score and concede, that'll be fine. Yeah, the bench is phenomenally strong for them tonight. So I've already mentioned McAllister. You mentioned Ferguson, the 18-year-old that got the 2 goals at the weekend. Lewis Dunk is on the bench as well, and he's got an England call-up today as well. What an incredible season he's had. Yeah, but he's been like that for a few years now. You know, I think he's probably been a little bit unlucky not to get called up before it. I remember playing years ago when I was manager at Oldham and Doncaster, and he was at Brighton in the lower leagues then, and you could tell that he was a top player. People have probably looked at him and thought he's maybe not the quickest, maybe not the most mobile, but he's adapted his game so well. And you know, De Zerbi's a top manager, and he's been singing these praises all season, wondering why that he's not been in the England squad, because he believes he's one of the best England defenders out there. So, you know, you're looking at their bench, it's no secret that they have qualified for Europe, because the depth that they've got and quality in their squad is there to see. want to talk to you about the goalkeeping situation at Brighton, because they're starting Steele tonight. For the last 3.5 years, Robert Sanchez has been Brighton's number one. Steele, though, has been playing for the last few games, with the exception of when he picked up an injury. It's at the point now where Sanchez is requested not to be in the squad. What is going on? Have you watched enough Brighton to know the difference between when Sanchez plays and when Steele plays? Yeah, now the Serbi essentially said that Steele was better with his feet than Sanchez, hence the reason Steele came in. And I mean, I think one of his first games he got an assist. Putting the ball over the top, and I'm not sure who scored it. Natoma, yeah. However, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine this afternoon, funny enough. Sanchez, I think, is a shot-stopping, is a much better goalkeeper. But I kind of understand what Serbi's saying. When you've got a goalkeeper who can play like Ederson, Ortega's very good. Ederson has a little bit extra when it comes to actually being able to deliver a ball, distance and accuracy. So therefore you say, how do we play? What do we need to do in certain areas? Sanchez coming out or not wanting to be part of it would suggest that Sanchez is looking for a move. I like him personally, and I think there are teams in the Premier League who have qualified for European competition that could do with a goalkeeper like Sanchez, but I'm not saying who. Teams that have already qualified? Oh goodness, I know who you're talking about. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. And a lot of them speak Spanish. Oh, okay. What, a Spanish player? Okay, I get you. I mean, Sanchez was on loan at Rochdale only 3 or 4 years ago, Paul, and then to break into the Brighton team and to hold it down, for De Zerbi to then make a change near towards the end of the season to bring Steele in, is that a representation of him, how strong he is as a manager, how much he believes in his decisions?
I think it's how much he believes in the belief that how he wants his team to play. I agree with David that I think Sanchez, as a short-stopping goalkeeper, is better than what Steele is. But De Zerbi's obviously seen something that he wants his goalkeeper to be able to play out. I had an interview another week there saying that he literally wants his goalkeeper to be the sweeper and come out and play and maybe cause an overload somewhere else in the pitch, because if somebody's going to close the goalkeeper down outside the box, it's going to leave spaces elsewhere, and they do take risks. The games I've watched him play, I'm looking at Steele and use a goalkeeper, I'm like, what's he doing there? How can he pass it to him in that position, that situation? But that's what his manager wants him to do. Yeah, what's interesting is, and all the fans watching this who have been watching Ederson for the last few years, there's a bit that Ederson does where gets the ball, foot on the ball, waits for someone to come and then just passes it around. Eddie. He gives me a heart attack when he does that. Yeah, but he was the first keeper I can recall doing that on a regular basis. And now if you look at it, Steele will do it for Brighton, Onana will do it for Inter. We'll see it in the Champions League final. It's almost like managers said, well, hang on a minute, our goalie needs to be able to do that. And I think Steele can definitely do it better than Sanchez can. But Sanchez is 24, 25 years old. He is young. And he could become top draw. OK, I'll be keeping an eager eye on that over the summer then, wondering what's going to happen there. De Zerbi receiving huge praise from press in his press conference earlier this week. If you haven't seen it yet, he just adores it. You can just tell that Pep has huge respect for him. So here is Pep earlier this week talking about Brighton.
Pay attention, I'm going to say, because I'm pretty convinced I'm right what I'm saying, is one of the most influential managers in the last 20 years. There is no team playing in the way they play. It's like it's unique. I had the feeling when I arrived the impact it would have in the Premier League would be great. I couldn't expect to do it in this short of time. He created 20 to 25 chances on average a game. He's better by far than all the opponents. He monopolized the ball in a way like I've never been for a long time. Everybody's involved. The keeper is like a holding midfielder. And if you don't play at a high level, he can do whatever you want and against you, against all opponents. And they deserve completely the compliments and the success that they have. Is one of the team. I try to learn a lot. It's unique. It's like Michelin star restaurant like is unique. You know that when you were in Catalonia, it was El Bulli, the Ferran Adrià, the best cook for many years, and he changed completely the cuisine, and I think Brighton is playing is something unique, is special, the way they move, the way they do, and it's a good, incredible challenge for us to prepare the two finals, absolutely.
That was Pep speaking in his press conference earlier this week about De Zerbi, who De Zerbi is nominated alongside Pep for the Premier League Manager of the Year award. If it is not Pep, Paul, then I think De Zerbi very much deserves it.
Yeah, he does. And, look, he's been fantastic. I think everybody loved how Brighton played when Graham Potter was there and got a lot of accolades for it. But he's come in and took them to the next level. You know, the one thing that was pointed at Brighton under Graham was that they maybe didn't score enough goals. They were lovely to watch, very easy on the eye, but no real cutting edge up front. And he's changed that since he came in. You know, they go all out attack. They do leave themselves a bit open at the back sometimes, play wonderful football, but it's goals that win you games. You know, and I think the proof's in the pudding. That's why they've qualified for Europe this year.
Yeah, they're freely scoring in quite a few games this season as well. Would you rate De Zerbi as a possible, if Pep does not win it, winner of the Manager of the Year award?
No.
Okay. You going for, why not, and who are you going for?
Eddie Howe.
Okay.
De Zerbi took over a team that was already doing well. Yes, they didn't score many goals, but they were already a very good team. And Eddie Howe has taken Newcastle to the Champions League after, last season, obviously, close relegation. And he was my old manager, so slightly biased.
See, I've got to think, he's not even been nominated, Gary O'Neill.
Yes, yeah.
He's done unbelievable at Bournemouth. He's not even in the nominations, you know.
Gary, my old teammate.
Yeah, he took over after they just lost 9-0 at Liverpool. Everybody had written them off. And to keep them up, I think he's done an unbelievable job. So if it wasn't Pep, I would have went for him, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, you're right. It's awful that he's not been nominated because he's done a phenomenal job. I think everybody wrote Bournemouth off. So to what he's achieved is absolutely fantastic. We've got our Michael Brown on co-coms tonight. He'll be giving you your commentary with Alistair Mann. He is already down at Brighton Stadium. He's pitch side with Connor Shaw.
Thank you very much, Natalie. We're here at the Amex Community Stadium for today's game against Brighton and Hove Albion. We've got Michael Brown with me to chat through the 6 changes to the Man City team. Michael, rotation's quite important, isn't it? Especially at this time of the season with the big cup finals coming up.
I think it's so important as well. We've seen obviously at the weekend you've got to make changes, you've got to be able to come in because at times in the next few weeks you could get that opportunity, you could get that chance, and everybody up to speed at a better level is going to make much more sense. But again, it's that continuity with those changes. Pep Guardiola will still want to get a winning result at the end of the day.
And you know, the involvement of younger players as well in this squad, it's been quite important to Pep all season. But you know, being able to rely on those younger players, especially with the EDS that we see on the bench today, is massively important, isn't it? You know, just for the development of this side.
I mean, you just look at the week that the football club have had, and those players looking in and saying, right, that's amazing, how well, with Champions League coming up, and then they find themselves very, very quickly involved on the bench, and that's where if the results goes all right, you might get a few minutes, you might get, you know, some part of it, so you've always got to be ready, you've always got to be waiting just in case that happens. But again, it's important, isn't it? We've seen about Rico Lewis's development this season. Cole Palmer has again got more minutes, more maturity, getting better and better. But probably the real success from that is Rico Lewis, and more coming in to back it up. And again, it just shows how well the academy is performing.
Would you say a game like this gives someone like Rico Lewis the chance to kind of show himself ahead of those bigger games? You know, if there is an injury or something that happens, you know, ahead of those big cup finals, that he's there and he's available and fit and ready and capable?
I think he's got to. I think he's shown that already when he's been asked to play in different positions as a right back, and then going into that midfield position. I mean, very, very comfortable, spending long periods of time in there. We've also seen him earlier in the season playing that left-back position where he goes, when you're out of possession, then comes and joins in into the middle. Will we see a little bit of that this evening? You would expect out of possession that he's going to obviously take up that left-back role.
Let's look at Brighton then. A few changes for them as well tonight. What do you think you can expect from them? You know, a team that's, you know, 1 point away from securing European football.
It's amazing, really, that they've made these changes. Whether, you know, when you see them on the bench, you don't always say, well, you know, Lewis Dunk is around and he's available. Why is he not starting? It's been a real success story here, hasn't it? Obviously, since the manager came in, that continuation, what was put in place beforehand, and it's a really exciting place, a really up-and-coming type of thought process, recruitment, behind the scenes, what obviously they've put in place, and really one to watch, isn't it, the manager? And at times today, we're going to see Manchester City without the ball tested in different ways, and they know that and have to say, OK, we're used to having it all the time. How do we adapt? How do we put the blocks in place? So I think it's a really fascinating, interesting game ahead.
How good a job has Roberto De Zerbi done? Because if you think about when he came into the club, every other manager's kind of had that pre-season, that kind of a chance to look at the squad, develop the squad. But he's just come in kind of mid-September and look at the way they play and look at the style of play.
It's amazing, and I think that the first few games where he wasn't getting exactly the results that you'd want, question marks were asked, what's happened, what's disappointment all about, and ultimately now he's gone on and everybody's talking about wanting him at their football club. But it's full credit to the players as well, not just the management. I think they've really taken it on board and really been brave in possession. I think it's, as I say, a proper success story. Now is how can they continue? But it just tells you something. They've qualified for Europe and they're actually, I know you say it's 1 point, but they're there, aren't they, surely? Yeah, and then obviously making changes against City.
How big of an achievement is that to qualify for Europe, for Brighton? If you're a Brighton fan from the last 20, 30 years, you probably wouldn't have expected next season to happen.
Well, I think you have to look at that and see what you want to take from it at the start of next season, because your squad's going to have to be better to be able to deal with the amount of fixtures that you've got. But they'll be aware of that. They've been planning for a long period of time behind the scenes of what they're going to need and how they're going to do that. But again, it's which players are going to be available to them, because straight away, very saleable assets. People will be looking to come and try and take them, and we'll see some outstanding ones on show who are really confident at the moment. So it's going to be a test for City. But regards to Brighton, I think you'll still see it's party time for actually qualifying for Europe.
Yeah, an exciting game in prospect down here at the Amex Stadium. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks to Connor Shaw there, who is with Michael Brown. And Michael will be on your commentary team for tonight's game. He'll be alongside Alistair Mann. You can get the commentary on the City app for free. Get it downloaded if you haven't already. 8 p.m. kickoff. Alistair Mann and Michael Brown giving you your full commentary. If you would like to ask Paul Dickov or David James a question, you can do so using the WhatsApp number. That is on your screen now. Get your questions in. You know I love them wild and wacky. And I also love it when you really tax them tactically. So let's get them working tonight. Get your WhatsApp questions in and I'll get through some of them a little bit later on. I'm going to bring our fans back in now on our Reactoo wall. We're going to have a chat about the Brighton team. But before we do, Spencer, am I hearing a little rumour here that you once played in a football game with Paul and Michael?
I did in 2018. City were kind enough to send me over from New York to Manchester, and Brownie and Paul were the two of the 5 people who played on the team. It was also Jeff and Jim Whitley and Kevin Horlock. And I actually have a great story about Paul from that day.
Oh, right, share, Spencer.
Remember, we're live.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. This is family friendly. So during halftime, I was absolutely knackered because I'm not a professional athlete, and this is an 11-a-side game at the Etihad, and I am lying about, and I have there are some Gatorades nearby and waters and all that, and I just go, Paul, you want a Gatorade? And he goes, nah, mate, I'm a professional athlete. Give me a water.
Paul!
Yeah. Too much sugar, see? Too much sugar.
Okay.
So that's what it was.
Professional athlete still.
Ex-professional, I think I said. Yeah. I don't think I mentioned athlete.
What was the score, by the way? Who won?
Sadly, Paul, Brownie's team won, and for some, I don't know how I scored the first goal of the match. It was like a Balotelli right off my chest.
Did everybody make it to the end of the game, Spencer, by the way? Was there any yellow, red cards?
Well, no, there were no bookings, but I don't think many of the fans actually made it to the end of the match physically.
Did you make it, Paul?
I think I just snuck 90 minutes in, yeah.
Brownie?
90 minutes.
Okay, fair enough. Love that,
Yeah.
Spencer. Well, what an honour to play with the very own Paul Dickov. I love that. We've got Casey there. Hi, Casey. You've been hearing everybody chat there. We've heard all about the Brighton team and how good they've been doing this season. Did they make you a little bit nervous tonight?
Yeah, it's a certain type of nervous because obviously we've already won it, so we could kind of stay a bit calm. But knowing this Brighton team, they've been fantastic. I've been watching Mitoma get better and better, and I really do enjoy seeing him play. But it's a good day for my FPL as well. I did have Estupinian, if I pronounce that correctly, and I took McAllister off. So I don't know how I predicted that one. I didn't have insider information, but it's a good day for FPL, and I'm actually happy about Pep's decisions as well, because I think we will need Kevin and Haaland. So we'll hopefully get the W out of this one, but it'll be a good game all around.
Casey, what a touch there. I never would have thought of putting McAllister on the bench. I think he's my vice-captain, actually. Liz, you were putting your thumbs up before when Haaland was playing. You've played FPL. I bet you've had a lot of Brighton players in your team this year.
Yeah, I definitely have. I've got Mitoma, but I've also got McAllister, and he's on the bench, which is a bit of a shame. What I actually really want is a hat-trick from Gundogan tonight. That's what I would like to have.
Oh, is Gundogan in your team as well?
He certainly is. I brought him in. I played the free hit this week and brought him in, and it's not going that well, but I need Ilkay to give me a nice few goals tonight.
I apologise, by the way, but Liz, I can always end up talking about FPL. How is your season going?
Oh, me, it's unreal. The whole thing still feels unreal. The thing is, I've been a City fan for a really long time. I'm 46, so I'm probably a bit older than a lot of the other kids on the panel. And, I'm a third-generation City fan. My first match was 1988. My dad's first match was 1960. My grandfather went to the first match at Main Road. So to actually see all this stuff actually happen to us, it still feels like we've won the lottery or something. And it's a remarkable thing to be here to witness, to our extraordinary manager, who I pay tribute to our manager tonight.
Oh, I love that. This is a serious wall of merchandise, by the way. Sarah, I can see some. Is that pillows, or have you got? What have you got draped for your merch in the background?
I have a collection of my flags from all, the flags you get given to wave at all the semis and the quarterfinals, that kind of thing. And I collected, I don't know how many of these. Then I moved to Berlin, and I had a little argument with my parents about how many flags I was going to keep. So in the end, I have a couple with me here and stuff from our Berlin Supporters Club too.
I love that, a collection of flags. That's incredible. And then Dabs, you've got some serious merch there as well. Have you got a line of books behind you?
You know what? I've got a few books. There's a few things there. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff. These are my favourites. Two of my favourite players as a kid.
Okay, I'm excited.
Rosler, my hero as a kid. And then this one even better for me.
Try and guess who it is before you tell us. Hold on,
You won't be able to,
Okay.
I've got a lot. I love Gary Flitcroft when I was young as well. But we've got Ruben now, right? But Keith Curl, come on.
Oh, yeah.
What a legend.
Oh, I love that. And what else? You've got a Main Road picture. You've got books. What squad is that on the poster in the back?
So that one is 93-94. So that was just before David James. That's Tony Coton, who also came from Watford first, like David did. And then I've got a legendary Rosler, Walsh, and that Italian, I can't remember his name now, or can't pronounce it. The Italian, Guardiza, was it, or something like that?
Oh, Dabs, hold on a minute. We're raising your little man, and we've got a Rosler shirt. Oh, my goodness.
No, hold on.
Oh, hold on. Have we got two? Hold on. Hold on a minute.
These two here, I can't pull them out. You can't. But the exact red and black one here, on the back of it, has got Rosler on the back, and this one, the blue one's also got Rosler on the back of it. Yeah.
We've got two Rosler shirts. Wait.
The knee slide.
I love it. And then wait, we've got Rosler as well. Wait, so you know your history.
Yeah. Rosler is one of my favorite players too. A friend of mine back in the Manchester was born in the 28th, so Rosler is his childhood idol, and I like him very much too.
Oh, how incredible! We're just raising the stakes on the merch there all the time. I love that. Dabs, how do you feel? Have you been out Roslered there?
You know what? I've got his autograph in this book, haven't I? And it's on the same page as Colin Bell as well, so I think that might top it. To be fair.
Oh, hold on a minute. Wait, have you been out Roslered now? Because Dabs has his autograph.
Yeah, no. I just got his duplicates and not autograph.
Ah, Dabs, I think we'll give you that on the Rosler front. And then you've got a lovely poster there. Is that all different shirts? Is that all different shirts?
Yeah, what here? No, that's picture art from. There's this guy that does it for everyone. He does all the different shirts over the years. Got it for Christmas off my brother. Yeah.
Love it. Well, thanks, everybody. Apologies, we were talking about the game and I just got sidetracked, but I love a bit of merch, Paul, do you?
I do. It's amazing. You know, I say it, talking about weights there. I was telling you when I went to China and the trips to India, you've been to India, they're fanatical, aren't they? They're fanatical about football, but especially about City as well. And, you know, I think people don't believe you, but when you see things like that and their collections, the memorabilia, how much they know about the club, the history of the club as well, it's all over the world. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, it really is. It's so hugely impressive. Thank you so much all for being here. Waits, give us your kind of final thoughts ahead of the game tonight. Tell us what sort of game are you expecting?
It will be a tough game. As we all know, Brighton was in great form this season, and especially Mitomo has the light of Asian this time when Son Heung-min is not that great. So my prediction is that City will win 3-2, and Haaland will score a hat-trick.
Good.
I hope, and will add his goals more and more to be an unbreakable record for the strikers following. So it will be a great game, even though we win the trophy. And I think Pep will do something, two major things. One is to rest the players, like David said, and one is to keep their form. We got FA Cup final with the Reds. We got Champions League final versus Inter. So that's two major games will be our main target, and we will rotate the players to make them get the best form to win the two trophies, and that's the treble.
Yes, I love that. Oh, wait, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you and all of you tonight, representing Blues all around the world. And I'd like to get a score prediction from each of you, but I've just realised the time, so we're going to have to do it with fingers. So on your right side is home, and on your left side is away. So left side is City, right side is Brighton. Give us your score.
2-1.
I don't know my lefts and my rights right now.
Is that 2-1?
Okay, Liz isn't sure. Liz is not having it. Nope. Sarah is saying 3-0. Is that to City, Sarah, or to Brighton? City, with thumb City. Okay, Dabs, are you not doing it? Nope, Dabs is refusing. Casey's hitting the 3-1. Waits is on the 3-2. And Spencer? Oh, Spencer thinks we're going to get beat. But that's all right. Oh, no, he's gone the wrong way. Oh, no, he thinks we're going to win. Yay! Thank you to all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you all tonight. I've loved the Reactoo all tonight. Paul, score prediction from you tonight?
3-1 Manchester City.
3-1 City. Love that, because you are the most positive City fan I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. David?
4-0 City.
OK, David wins.
Take that, yeah.
He's just topped you on the positivity front. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think Brighton will have celebrated. I think they'll think that whatever they think, they're going to get it wrong. And I think City can win this 4-0.
What do you want to see from City tonight, Paul?
Just the same. Normal performance. Fantastic football, scoring lots of goals. Want Erling to get in the score sheet again. Keep breaking records all the way. I'm glad Phil's playing, actually. You know, Phil historically has showed that he needs 2 or 3 games to get back into his stride. Maybe the 2 massive games we've got coming up. I think we need Phil Foden in top form for that, whether it's to start or come off the bench.
He's had 6 goals in his last 5 games against Brighton, Phil Foden. I bet you love that one. 5 goals, 1 assist in his last games there. So there's a good chance. It'd be nice to see him on the score sheet tonight, Paul. Yeah, it will. And he's a top player. He got his injury at the wrong time, or his operation at the wrong time, and slowly but surely he's finding his feet and getting back into form again. So I think the game tonight and then possibly Brentford on Sunday will put him in really good shape for the FA Cup final in the Champions League. Honestly, David, I just want to see everybody come out fit at the other end. Not picking up any injuries.
Absolutely. And that's got to be one of the concerns going into the game, but this could happen at any point. Just super confident that Haaland won't play too great in the first half. Alvarez comes on and bangs a hat-trick.
Thinking about your FPL, you aren't you?
Just a little bit.
So the teams are in the tunnel now, and it is looking like Brighton are going to be giving us a guard of honour. Oh, I love a guard of honour. Paul Dickov, David James, thank you for joining me on Matchday Live. It's been a pleasure, as always. We'll be back at half-time and at full-time. You'll get your full match commentary now with the wonderful Alistair Mann, brilliant Michael Brown, the only place to get your commentary. And, oh, a guard of honour for the Premier League champions. Enjoy the game, Blues. We'll see you at half-time.
Very warm welcome, and it's a particularly warm welcome on a beautiful sunny day on the south coast in Brighton. The champions had just a few hours to bask in the glory of Sunday's coronation. This incredible season still has plenty of exciting challenges lying ahead, with the tantalising prospect of a magnificent